Hello and welcome to Tragic Thespians. Today we have yet another Fruitbox Theatre collaboration for World Pride, which I'm super excited for. We're loud and we're proud. Today I have the very special guest, the writer themselves of Comfort Spin Travel, Lou Bradshaw. Welcome.
Hello.
Now, Comfort Spin Travel, it will be at Meraki Arts Bar from the 2nd of February to the 11th of March 2023. It is starring Hadrian Conyngham and Rachel Cito, directed by Emma Burns, produced by M. Small, and of course, executively produced by Madeline Gandhi and Sean Landis. So this is a very exciting play, Comfort Spin
Yeah.
Travel questions the responsibility placed on trans people to advocate, educate, and be endlessly patient.
Yes.
That's a big one. I
Yeah.
do really like that you did mention that one because it is a massive thing for a lot of trans queer people just to be patient for others. Would you mind elaborating a little bit, perhaps even from your own experience, on what essentially inspired those things?
Yeah, for sure. So pretty much the seed of the show came a few years ago. I was given a script to do at uni. It's called Here by Taylor Mack. And there's this line in the play said by one of the characters, this genderqueer protagonist. And they say it's fucking exhausting teaching people. And at the time that articulated something that I hadn't quite known how to articulate myself. And it kind of spun around in my head for a few years. And then last year, I thought I really need to write something about this.
I love that. I really love that because it's so true. It is exhausting having to, like, because it's almost like you have to defend your existence, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's especially now with a lot of people that do prefer they them pronouns.
Hmm.
People tend to complicate that when it really isn't. And
Yeah. It's something that we've been doing in the English language for a really long time. It's actually not new.
Mm, absolutely. And a lot of native cultures already identified that. They've already had that
Yeah, absolutely.
establishment. But of course, as it goes, people try to essentially erase that part of history.
Yeah.
And that's why it's very important for people like yourself to put these plays on, because it does give a voice to so many that have lost that voice, and it gives people more of that voice. And that's what I've said in the past with other Fruitbox collaborations. This is important. The whole ripe production is really, really important because now more than
Yeah.
ever, I feel like this new generation, we've had enough. Like essentially your plot, we're tired of explaining and we're like, whatever, get over it. We're here.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And it does
Yeah.
take place after hours in an office works. I already love that.
Yes.
To test the efficiency of wheelie chairs. I love a wheelie chair. I'm in one right now. I'm trying desperately not to swing around in it.
Yeah.
Did you, where did the essentially the placement of your play, when did that hit you? Did you used to work at an office works?
No, so Comfort Spin Travel is the name of this game that the main character plays to test these wheelie chairs. And it's actually a game I came up with my little sister
Oh,
several years ago. Um, and I sort of thought about the link between testing the efficiency of these chairs and then the way that we try to test the efficiency or the efficacy or the usefulness of people, specifically trans people, based on like how tolerant they are and how patient they are.
I love that. I love it goes so much deeper. And that's of course essentially the whole play. That's a playful exploration of family, community, and gender identity, all through the lens of
Yes.
practical office furniture. I've got to tell you, when I saw the promos for these, when like I read about it, I was like, I really want to be in a play and just be in a wheelie chair the whole time. So I'm gonna beg you to put
Yeah.
you put me in your next play that has a wheelie chair. I beg you. It's a dream. And of course, Comfort Spin Travel is a semi autobiographical creation of yourself, a queer and trans non binary playwright, director, and musician. You're a jack of all trades. Don't be modest, own it. And of course, you are interested in theatre's ability to platform queer storytelling and advocacy with past shows, including Voices, which was done in 2020, and your debut performance work, which showcased stories of community and belonging from your local queer community in Wollongong.
Yeah.
So you're from the Gong, all the way in Big Sydney now.
Yeah.
How are you finding the difference having gone from Wollongong to Sydney? Much larger, I suppose, communities, larger groups, just more people, more everything, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I still live in Wollongong. I haven't moved to Sydney quite yet.
Good, don't
but the
rush.
theatre scene is fantastic. Yeah, the theatre scene is fantastic, especially the queer theatre scene, which is where I really prefer to situate myself. So yeah, it's been great. Working with Fruitbox has just been so amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very excited of this. What else what kind of giveaways can you tell us about the plot without giving too much, because everyone has to go buy a ticket?
Please. Yeah, so I think a large part of it is about the relationship people have with their siblings and their families. Um, yeah, it's a lot about, I think there's quite a bit about moments where things happened that didn't sit right with you or that frustrated you, but you kind of didn't feel like you were able to do anything about it. I think there's quite a few moments in the play where the performer talks about situations where they were a bit powerless because of this responsibility they were carrying to like be the good trans person and not rock the boat. So I think there's quite a lot of that in the show.
Oh, amazing. Can we be guaranteed laughter, tears, bit of it all?
Definitely, well, hopefully laughter, maybe tears.
Hopefully it's not just tears from beginning to end, right?
Oh, yeah, I hope not.
And how's the rehearsal period gone? I love to ask everyone what's the favorite, I guess, what's your favorite memory so far or part of rehearsal, because that's where the magic happens.
Um, yeah, so honestly, the coolest part for me working on a play is hearing it read aloud in full for the first time. There's definitely moments during that where I go, ooh, like I can't believe I wrote that because that sounds terrible. Um, but also working with actors is just so wonderful. Hadrian is so giving, and it's really fantastic just to hear when I've written something and it works, or the actor has a spin on it that I didn't think of. Yeah, it comes to life in that moment, and I love it.
That's the magic of it, isn't it? When an actor kind of puts their own twist and then you go, oh yeah, that's what I intended this whole time.
Yeah.
Get to play around with that. And have you seen the Meraki space yet? Have you started bumping? How's that going for you so far?
I actually haven't seen it yet. I tried to sneak up there a while ago, but it was closed. I'll get a look next week.
Oh, amazing. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
honestly such a great space, and it's like a really fast growing space, and I can see,
Yeah.
and the fact that you're going to be in it from like pretty much one of the early stages is magical in itself.
Yeah, I'm really keen.
And now, because it is a semi autobiographical creation of yourself,
Yeah.
what would you say, I suppose, of course, the main themes being community, gender identity, and family? What other little bits and pieces, I suppose, little Easter eggs of yourself have you put in that you're wondering who would pick up? Any family, friends, and wondering, did you notice that?
Yeah, I'm a little worried about it, to be honest. I think there's a couple of moments in the play where I talk about situations that happened in real life where I was upset or frustrated or angry and didn't say anything. And then I've put them in this play without necessarily talking to the people involved, which was probably not wise. yeah, I think something that might surprise the people that I know who see it is that, or maybe not, but I think quite a lot of it is a bit angry, which is an angle I haven't really taken, especially not in my writing before.
So this is more of a creative jump for you, is it, to go more into the
Yeah, I
angry
think
groups?
so. Hmm.
Amazing. And how did you find that experience going from, I suppose, not something so hard felt into going deep inside yourself and going into, I guess, the ugly parts of ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really cathartic, honestly. Yeah, it felt difficult for sure, but eventually really good.
Amazing. And how would you compare having previously done voices? Where was voices
Hmm.
performed at?
It was performed at a secondhand bookshop in Wollongong called Society City. That's just like a fantastic space for creative people to do whatever they want, pretty much. Yeah.
That sounds amazing in itself. How
Yeah.
would you compare voices having been from a small bookshop into now the Meraki stage? Essentially, it's a big leap, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It is. It's really exciting. I'm fresh out of uni, so this is fantastic and kind of doesn't feel real. Yeah, Voices was just something that I put up all by myself. I kind of just decided I was going to do this show and invited all my friends to it. And now to be doing a show in the indie scene in Sydney with Fruitbox and at Meraki is just insane. Yeah.
I'm telling you, that imposter feeling never goes away.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's there forever. You're gonna fake it. But that's amazing. It is, it makes a big difference when you do something independently, because you tend to feel like you have to sometimes, because especially
Yeah.
when it is starting out, you don't really have all those tools or connections. And then now going into something larger where you actually have people helping you out and you're not stressing
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, it's really cool to just be a creative on this project compared to being, the writer and the performer and the producer, just like wearing all the hats. Yeah,
That's it. Get to leave off the little bit of that tension of yourself.
for sure.
um, yes. So I did read that you were writing two other full length plays. Can we talk about that as well?
Oh, sure. I think I possibly lied a little bit in my bio because one of them was not full length. Um, but yeah, last year I co-wrote two shows. So I co-wrote a play called Dog Muncher with my mate Byron, and I
Mm.
also co-wrote a show at the University of Wollongong with Dr. Mark Rogers called Everlasting Love.
Oh, and can we potentially in the future see them coming possibly to Meraki stage or somewhere else in Sydney as well?
Ooh, I don't know. I will have to talk to my collaborators.
Yes, isn't that a fancy way to say it? I'll talk to my collaborator. You feel like a boss when you say that, don't
Yeah, I feel very, very cool.
you? Now, comfort spin travel. Of course, there's going to be wheelchairs. Talk us through, I suppose, the rest of the staging. Is it going to be basically blank slate and then just the wheelie chairs, or are we going to have a few more exciting props?
You know what? I'm actually not entirely sure. That's much more Emma's wheelhouse.
Again, good to relieve a little bit of that of that work. Don't have to think about that.
Yeah, lots of the decisions are out of my hands, which is quite nice.
Okay, so essentially being the writer in the room and a lot of people
Hmm.
relying on your words and wanting to do you justice, do you tend to
Yeah.
feel more empowered from that, or do you tend to, I suppose, you like the free, like the artistic freedom that they're giving you?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, I think. I definitely don't think I'm the most qualified person in any room. Um, I work really hard at my craft, and I think especially going to uni has taught me a lot of skills, but there's so much more that I can learn from people, and I love learning those things from the other creatives I'm working with. So it's a bit of give and take, yeah.
Absolutely. No, it's all you. you never finish learning. That's the beauty of this kind of industry.
For sure.
And what would you say has been your biggest takeaway so far, the biggest lesson you've learned from all of this?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Um, yeah, I think I was quite nervous and scared to write this play because so much of it is about my life, and I felt quite anxious about committing to doing the show and letting people see that. But now that I've written it, I'm really glad that I did take that leap and decide to commit to this thing because it is really important to me. And I do think it's something that, or hopefully people will get something out of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think more stories like this, you don't know who in the audience identifies with the storyline directly, who might have an inkling of it. There's, as we said, there's a lot of people that do tend to have a bit of a gender identity crisis, but hopefully this will give it the freedom for people to potentially take that leap or have an understanding, or because we are put in these boxes with society, and there's always that pressure on us. Where do I belong? Where do I go? And that's the beauty of creators like yourself who are non-binary. Doesn't always have to be one thing or the other. You can just be
Mhm.
who you are, and that's the beauty of it. And that's why I truly believe that there does need to be more trans stories, more non-binary stories, more of that representation, because really there hasn't been in forever, really.
Yeah, it's a really new field, which is frustrating at times, but it's also so exciting to be
Mm.
one of the first people to contribute to the field.
Absolutely, exactly what you said. It is a frustrating thing that it hasn't been touched on for so long, and now it finally is. Because I remember in my experience of when I started out and having my own gender identity and not understanding, because wasn't feminine enough, wasn't masculine enough, wasn't anything, and then you go do all these auditions and it's like, you don't really fit, and it's and then now having
Yeah.
these exact roles that do fit people like yourself, people like myself, and just everyone around. So I that's the beauty of these plays, that there's a little bit for everyone to take home with them.
I hope so, yeah.
A quote from the show: I carry with me an illustrious history of anger. That's
Yeah.
heavy. Mm, I like
Yeah.
that one. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Perhaps the scene leading up to it, like I said, without giving too much.
Yeah. So, like I said, a lot of it is quite angry, and I think I was quite angry writing it. Um, and that kind of put me in touch, I think, with all of this anger that's come before me in the queer community. Like, we know that Stonewall was a riot, and we know that fights for queer rights haven't been always peaceful. Like, they've been fueled by people demanding what they want and what they need. And I don't think that queer anger is a bad thing. I think we need to stare it in the face and see what it is and recognize that it's arguing for the things we deserve. And that was something that I thought was quite important. And it felt important to me to connect with all the people before me who've been angry about similar things.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I do highly believe that queer anger is much deserved, because over the years, but that's why I'm being a little bit biased. That's why I think we create the best things, because that anger creates such great creativity from it. And as you said, facing it, it's very therapeutic at times. It's scary, very scary.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do and also worth it, I think.
absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Lou. I can't wait to meet you. I
Thank
can't wait to
you.
see the play. I can't wait for everyone else to see the play and for this to change everyone's lives.
Oh, the dream.
No pressure, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was wonderful meeting you, and I can't wait to see you
You
in
too.
person.
Yeah, thank you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.